Welcome to a Oh No, and Sharon Moore Two Game No edition of the OHIO podcast. Do us a big favor and smash that like button. This story is getting to a point where clear lines are being drawn on the level of punishment that is thought to be deserved by two different sides of the argument, obviously, and those who feel like the NCAA either doesn't have enough ammunition or enough of a backbone to give said punishment, or maybe they do. And so these clear divisions of thoughts and ideas and processes are starting to come to the forefront. And what I am noticing is this: the further removed geographically you are from the situation that is happening in Ann Arbor between the University of Dum and the NCAA, the further removed you are, the less emotion you have in this situation. And usually, when you remove emotion and you think logically about something, uh, things become a little more clear for you. And that's what I'm going to try to do today. Is I'm going to show you. I'm actually going to audibly show you what I'm talking about and why, as a a individual who is somewhat invested in this story, because I'm an Ohio State fan, and so I'm directly affected, and B, I have a YouTube channel, and when you talk about this topic, more people watch it. So I'm going to try to explain to you, when I remove emotion, why I have some serious doubt in the NCAA actually doing what my emotions want them to do. So let's dive into this. Remember, if you're not subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing. It absolutely does help us. Plus, ring the bell, get notified when we go live. We go live 4 times a week, and we produce videos like this all the time. And you're not going to want to miss those, okay? So subscribe to the channel. We're so close to 4,000. Please help us reach our goal of getting to 4,000 before summer. Now, I have an audio clip for you. I'm going to play from Andy Staples, Ari Wasserman from On 3. Both these guys are national guys. Ari used to be on the beat at Ohio State, okay? He knows this Ohio State program very well, and because he was on the beat at Ohio State, he knows the program up in Ann Arbor pretty well as well. Last several years, I think 3-4 years now, he's been removed from Ohio State, from the beat at Ohio State. Maybe even longer than that now. He's on the national brand of On 3. He does a lot of recruiting things. But Ari used to be a writer for the Cleveland Plain Dealer, which is here in Ohio next to the Columbus Dispatch, which has really lost its reputation covering athletics as well. The Plain Dealer was top notch. It too has really lost its reputation. But I digress. Ari got out while the getting was good, and he's sitting here nationally doing pretty well for himself. But that being said, I want you to listen very closely to his take on the fact that when you remove emotion, what the hammer probably is or isn't going to be. Listen very closely to this. You'll find it very interesting.
thing that I thing that I think is going to be interesting about this, or we've talked about this so much, Andy, is that I don't think that the one thing that we have to and want to know about what Michigan did a few years ago, we'll never know, which is how much did what they do help them win football games? And I'm not necessarily sure there's a way to quantify that. So like as we get
or prove it, because apparently any communication involving that was verbal.
Right. So like
there's no paper trail.
So we're at a position where if you hate Michigan or you lost to Michigan or you resent their success, they cheated. And if you love Michigan, it's no big deal. And like, we're just going to be in that limbo forever. Like there's no smoking gun that it's just like, if you were hoping that Sharon Moore's text messages were just like, yeah, let's go cheat and win this way. Like, that's not how it works. So like, I feel like we're just kind of in a position where we have to acknowledge that we're going to be left with this unknown, and how you want to remember the team and how you want to view it is up to you. Like there's no, like, I think there's Ohio State fans out there that are waiting for the hammer to come down. And I've got news for you guys. Even if he gets suspended more, there's more penalty. There's no like definitive hammer coming.
Well, and we don't know what they're going to do in terms of vacating wins or that sort of thing. You know how I feel about that. I don't care. I don't think that does anything. The game's on YouTube, but the Michigan people probably care about that. So we'll see what they do, but it's going to be a while before we find out, because they'll have the hearing, and then the committee talks about it for several months before they reveal what their penalties will be. So I would say that probably pushes into the football season, and maybe.
Okay, so there you have it. Ari saying there's going to be no definitive hammer coming down. Now, how does he know that? He's speculating. He's doing what everybody else is doing. He's speculating. I don't think that Ari has somebody inside the NCAA who's, hey man, there's really not going to be nothing here. So you can kind of sweep that to the side. He doesn't know. He's just speculating. He's reacting based off of what his perception is of there being a lack of physical evidence in the Sharon Moore text messages. What he fails to look at is the fact that this is a repeat offense and a lack of control, institutional control, which the NCAA can use and have used in the past when delivering out punishment. So you have these text messages, right? That apparently, depending on who you're talking to, reveals that Michigan was cheating, and the coaching staff knew what Connor was doing, and therefore that they are responsible for that. And that is what this punishment for Sharon Moore is about, a 2-game punishment. If you ask me my opinion, this very much feels like the University of Dom is begging the NCAA for mercy. Hey, we're going to appease the mob by sacrificing 2 games here. Even though we really don't feel like he did anything wrong, we're willing to appease the mob. We're willing to appease the volume that we're getting from the south of us, from Columbus and from Ohio State fans and from Notre Dame fans. We're going to appease them by giving him a 2-game suspension here, NCAA. Have mercy on us, because you really don't have anything. That's kind of the play we're getting from the athletic department at the University of Dom. Okay, so now that that's clear, now I'm going to give you the perspective of a Notre Dame fan now. This is not an Ohio State fan. This is somebody who follows this very closely, someone who doesn't like the University of Michigan either. However, it's not an Ohio State perspective. Remember what I said. The further away you get from Ann Arbor, the different the opinion is of what's going on. The closer you get to it, the more emotional things become. This is from John Kennedy's show yesterday. This is about a minute and 45-second clip of John's initial reaction to the news that Sharon Moore has been suspended for 2 games. You're going to like this.
While my blood pressure's already cranked up, we may as well talk about this. Dan Wetzel tweets out, Michigan set to suspend Sharon Moore 2 games as a result of the sign stealing thing. And And I'm waiting, and you're banned for the playoff for 5 years. And we're taking away all your wins from that last season. And what do you mean? You're getting an asterisk. Like, what do you mean? Where's the punishment that warrants this behavior? I don't understand. Am I missing something? We're doing all of this. Remember all that drama? It wasn't this last season, but the season before. Every week there was more drama and more drama with this story behind the scenes and all this stuff. For a 2-game self-imposed suspension, it is totally where everybody should cheat as much as you can. I know Notre Dame's not going to do it, but everybody cheat as much as you can. Cheat everybody to get ahead, because if this is all you get, it's totally worth it. If this is all they get, it's totally cheat your face off. If you get busted doing it, this is all you get. Notre Dame's not going to do it, but for everybody else with no morals, that's worth a championship. Are you outside your mind?
Okay, so there's some emotion there. Did you hear the difference between Andy Staples and Ari Wasserman and John Kennedy, my good friend John Kennedy? There's a lot of emotion there from John, and there's very little from Andy and Ari. The closer you get to the situation, the more emotion there is. The more emotion there is, the angrier one becomes, and the more you want to see punishment dished out. This boils down to a couple things. Number one, Michigan, and credit to them if they're able to get away with this, they #bet. Jim Harbaugh went all in against the NCAA. His personal vendetta against how he viewed the NCAA treating him and how he would run a college program, I think was a motivating factor for some of the decisions he made. And based off of how the NCAA doled out punishment to him for, Cheeseburger Gate, shows you just how much those two entities, one being Harbaugh, one being the NCAA, really despised each other. Now, Harbaugh removed from this situation, although he really isn't because he was still the head coach at this time, but Harbaugh removed from this situation, you're left with evidence. That evidence being, did Michigan, with Connor Stalions, break enough NCAA rules to get the NCAA to a place where they feel that delivering out a significant punishment, and we'll get to that in just a second, is warranted for those actions. Now, I will state this. If it was no big deal, why is Connor Stalions not with the program anymore? Obviously, you all, being fans and the administration and the athletic department in Ann Arbor, felt that he had done enough to at least be fired. Otherwise, you don't do that. So you did. Plus, now you've handed out a 2-game suspension to Sharon Moore. So right off the bat, the athletic department there in Ann Arbor can argue with the NCAA, hey, look, we've already taken these steps to rectify the issue. Again, the one thing that Ari and Andy Staples didn't mention, and John didn't mention here in this situation either, is that this is a repeat offense. And what that plays in the level of punishment, I don't know. I don't think any of us know what the NCAA, how they're going to view that. Plus, the one thing that I find incredibly disingenuous about what Andy Staples was saying, specifically Andy Staples, and then Ari agreed with him, was that the text messages from Sharon Moore were not the smoking gun. You guys don't know how much evidence or the lack of evidence the NCAA has. Okay? You guys are reacting to what is being told by you from the University of Michigan. Okay? So let's wait before you just go out there and say, there's going to be no hammer because there's no smoking gun. Let's wait and find out how the NCAA responds first. And I know that's very difficult to do because we're going now on almost a year and a half, almost 2 years of this story, and we're still all waiting for the, as John Kennedy said, and the evidence. What kind of evidence do they have? There is some evidence here, but how much and how much weight does that get applied to the fact that this is a repeat offense by the university and the athletic department? That is something that you need to look at. But like I said, the further away you get from Ann Arbor, the less emotional people are. The closer you get to the situation, the more the emotions get ramped up. Okay? And when I try to remove the emotions from it, I'm left with the same argument that I have had from the very beginning. Jim Harbaugh went all in against the NCAA. He betted against the NCAA that they were not going to do anything or they could not do anything. Well, he kind of won and lost that bet. He won a national championship, but he ain't coming back to college football. So he won and lost that bet. But we are going to find out, like John pointed out very clearly there in his rant. We are going to find out if the NCAA has a backbone or not. Are they a toothless organization or not? And like John said, if they can't dole out any punishment, what is stopping Ohio State? What is stopping Notre Dame outside of their morals, as John liked to point out? What is stopping Alabama? What is stopping Georgia from saying, oh, I guess we can cheat our faces off, like John said, because there'll be no punishment. If there's never any repercussions for the actions taken that are against the rules, then there are no rules. This is where the emotion for Michigan fans comes into account. Everybody advanced scouts. He just did it better than everybody. Take the emotion out. Was the rule broken? Yes or no? Yes. What's going to be the punishment for breaking said rule? Take the emotion out of it. That is what we're going to find out. It all boils down to that. What rules were broken? Where's the evidence? What will be the punishment? Repeat offense? How much does that escalate the punishment? That's what it all boils down to. And if the NCAA has no backbone, or they dole out a punishment and Michigan fights it, which is what Andy Staples is kind of saying here, that this thing is going to get dragged out. They're going to appeal. They're going to fight this, especially if they find it to be too severe. Then, and if Michigan's able to drag this thing out and they win, and the NCAA can't actually dole out any punishment, they're a toothless organization, and we realize the NCAA is a dead organization. And until college football makes some kind of definitive change at the top, then what is stopping anybody from just doing a free-for-all, cheat your faces off? The answer is nothing. The answer is nothing. So there is a lot riding on this for the NCAA as well. And that's what I think some of the national people or people further away from this situation are failing to look at. Now, there's another bit of this news, and I know this video is going on a little longer, but there's another bit of news here, and that is we have the situation with President Ono. So, as you all know, I think it was Sunday evening, Ono released a statement that he would be leaving the University of Dom to become the president of the University of Florida. And everybody's like, yeah, he's getting out while the getting's good. He's like everybody else. He's jumping ship. He's abandoning ship before it goes down, right? That's the narrative us Ohio State fans and Notre Dame fans are pushing. And it's kind of a troll job. It's kind of funny if you ask me. If you ask Michigan fans, however, It's kind of a mixed reaction, but for the most part, that's not true. It's just he's just going down. I mean, who wouldn't want to leave the cold weather in Ann Arbor and go be the president in the University of Florida where it's beautiful in the wintertime? There's some truth to that. Okay, ain't gonna lie. All right, there's some truth to that. But here's what no one is talking about. No, I haven't heard anybody bring this up. What role will the new president play in this for not only the sanctions that might come down from the NCAA, but the change that might result in the athletic department from this? What if you all get a president who's going to come in, whose a mindset here is to clean house? And if the NCAA delivers a incredibly harsh punishment, this president says, we're not going to fight this. The board of regions and the administration, and we're all on the same page, and we're going to receive this punishment, and we're going to take it. Has anybody thought about how that change at the very tippy top of the university might affect, and the trickle down effect of how this punishment is doled out and how the athletic department is going to take it? Ono, give him credit again. Ono was very defensive and very supportive of this athletic department and their stance, if you will, in fighting these allegations. And you're losing that. You're losing a pretty big advocate for fighting against what might be coming down the pike from the NCAA. And no one's talking about this. This could have huge ramifications on whether you guys decide you want to fight this in courts or appeal it, or whatever you're going to do about it. This might have a massive effect on that. So if I'm Ward Manuel, this is a huge decision that's going to be made when whoever the new president is. And if it's not somebody who's as defensive and as supportive as President Ono is, that could really affect how the outcome of this goes down. So that is incredibly interesting to me to watch as this thing moves on. Now, I know what you're all going to say, and by now there's probably been 100 of you down in the comment section either agreeing or disagreeing with me or saying things, you forgot this or you missed that, Boggs. I get it. I know how this thing goes. Again, we're all incredibly emotional about this. So if you ask me my opinion, for the longest time I was on the I don't see anything's going to happen here because I have zero faith in the NCAA. I still have zero faith in the NCAA, to be completely honest with you. But with every new allegation that comes down out of Ann Arbor, with every new rule that has been broken that is plain as day to see, it has become evident to me that the NCAA realizes they're going to have to deliver some form of punishment here. They cannot let this thing go unpunished. I disagree completely with Andy Staples and Ari Wasserman. I do believe the NCAA has some evidence. Do I believe that they have the smoking gun to deliver the hammer? I don't know that. But I also would question this for you. What does the hammer look like in the 21st century in NCAA athletics? What does the death penalty look like in today's NIL transfer portal age? It is incredibly different than what we had back in the 80s and 90s looking at USMU. That's still trying to recover, 4 decades later, almost 5 decades later. What does that look like? Oh, we're going to take away scholarships. No problem. We have NIL. We're a rich school. We have a rich fan base. We have plenty of donors. We'll just give everybody NIL to pay for their scholarship and then some. And there's no rule to stop that. So that's not going to hurt them much, even if they do take away scholarships. Well, we'll do a postseason ban. How long? How long? And then the argument comes out, and it's a relatively decent argument, to be honest with you. Why are you punishing the current kids for the sins of the past? Why punish the kids for the sins of the parents, right? It's not those kids' fault. The parents were idiots. I get that. I understand that. Though some might argue against me on that, but I think that that's a legitimate that is legitimate something that the NCAA will have to look at when handing out punishment. How much can we actually punish the current people who are here, the current student athletes? So, will there be much of a postseason ban if there is one at all? I don't know. I think relatively, I think they'll go light there. Now, my co-host Chris thinks that this could be a 3-year bowl ban. As John Kennedy said, 5-year bowl ban. Again, incredibly, a lot of emotion there, right? That would be the closest thing. A 5-year postseason bowl ban or postseason ban would be the closest thing to a death penalty in today's modern football, college football era that you could come up with, in my opinion. On top of that, you have the removal of wins and possibly the national championship. Then there's the argument, can the NCAA even remove a national championship? Because the College Football Playoff Committee is the one that's in charge of that now. And I think that there is some legitimate argument to that as well. Because the NCAA can say, well, we're not going to acknowledge it, or we're going to put an asterisk beside it in our record books. But can they truly take it away? I think there's some legality issues going on with that now, too. So because of all of that, I think the only power play that the NCAA truly has beyond scholarships, beyond beyond the reducing of the scholarships, would be the removal of wins to the record books. And so that's what kind of sits in the middle ground now. Are they a toothless organization? They don't want to be viewed that way. Are they? Well, we're going to find out. Do they have the power to deliver the hammer? Michigan fans say no. A lot of people on the national side say no. The truth is probably going to be somewhere in the middle once again. And so if you're asking me, what do I think the NCAA does? I think they take away wins and there's a reduction of scholarships. That's currently where I'm sitting. Now, what would Boggsy like to see happen? Oh, I'm so glad you asked. Drop the hammer. Of course I would want to see that happen. I bleed scarlet and gray. I can't stand those bums up there, man. They're scum for a reason, all right? Of course I want to see them. And if you say, oh, that's not being a very Christian man there, Boggs, if the roles were reversed, you and I both know you'd be saying the same thing for all you fans in the maize and blue. So spare me your self-righteousness. I know better. I've been around this. I've traveled around the sun enough times in my lifetime to know exactly how you all would react too. So spare me the self-righteousness, guys, because there ain't much there left up there from the leaders and the best. Y'all sold your soul to the devil in a lot of ways to win that natty, and now you're paying for it a little bit. How much you will pay? Only time will tell. Like, share, subscribe. We appreciate each and every single one of you. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Before we head out of here, let me give you your verse of the day. I feel it's very appropriate for this. Proverbs chapter 11, verse 3. The integrity of the upright shall guide them, but the perverseness of transgressors shall destroy them. That is your verse of the day from Proverbs chapter 11, verse number 3. Don't miss tonight's live show on the Buckeye Lounge with TG and Sean at 8 p.m. Eastern. They have a very, very special guest who's agreed to come on with them. Really, really looking forward to seeing them interact with this very special person. This might be the biggest name guest we've ever had here on the OHIO podcast. So I'm really looking forward to seeing them do this interview tonight. I'm so proud of them and for what they're achieving as they continue to grow their brand and work on their craft here as Buckeye podcasters. Let me know what y'all think down in the comments section below. When you remove emotion, what do you think is going to happen? I hope you all enjoyed this. Have a great Tuesday, everybody. We'll see you all tonight on the Buckeye Lounge. Till next time, be kind to one another. I owe someone's OH. Sing Carmen, Ohio with all your heart. You all know what to do. Go Bucks.